In alhamdulillah, wa salam ala wa rasulullah. Welcome to our session on the lawful and the unlawful. And just to remind the people, because we do have some new people joining us from the other different social platforms, just to let them know, let me type just so they can see. This class is held on the weekends. This is the lawful and the unlawful. It's held on Saturdays and Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And just like the prayer class I teach, we're going to cover the lawful and the unlawful from A to Z. Okay, we're going to speak about what's lawful and what's unlawful in regards to food, clothing, shelter, working, relationships, all of that from A to Z. And so right now we're focusing in on the lawful and the unlawful in regards to the food. And we've been speaking about the meat. Yesterday, we spoke about how when it comes to the lawful and the unlawful, are there any type of vegetables or fruits that are unlawful for us as Muslims to eat? Can anyone answer that? Are there any types of vegetables or fruits that we are forbidden from eating as Muslims? Walaikum salam. Are there any? Yeah, go ahead.
No, there's no type of vegetables or fruits that's unlawful unless for the fruits you like ferment them so they'll become alcohol.
Exactly, guys. And that was Brother Merard. That's Brother Merard, right? Brother Merard from our website.
Yeah.
One of my students here. He's doing such a good job. I'm so proud of him. Of course, he's Fame's brother, but he's doing such a great job here with his dean. I'm so proud of him. I wish my grandsons would grow up and be like him. So alhamdulillah, guys, there is nothing in Islam that forbids us from eating any types of fruits or vegetables. But there is one thing that we are not supposed to do with fruits and vegetables, and that is ferment them to make them alcoholic beverages, because that's what people do. They'll take fruit, they'll take grains and things like that and make alcohol out of it. We're forbidden from doing that as Muslims. Other than that, we can eat all the vegetables and fruit we want. Okay, and then we spoke about the 4 different categories of animals that are forbidden for us to eat yesterday. We touched on that briefly. Today I'm going to go into detail, but who can remember what are the 4 categories that Allah mentions for us in the Quran of animals that are forbidden for us to eat of? Anyone?
Animals with claws.
Okay, does Allah mention that in the Quran? What are the 4 groups mentioned by Allah in the Quran? Okay, fangs is not one of them. Okay, they're not in the Quran. Can anyone tell us what are the 4 groups of animals? Animals that that fall in these groups, we cannot eat of them. What are they? You guys know one group. Automatically should come to mind. What animal can you not eat?
A pig.
Okay, pig is one group. The flesh of swine. We cannot partake of the flesh of swine. What's another one? Another group.
An animal that would be killed on the road.
Yes, roadkill. Yeah, we call it roadkill. Any animal that we find dead, we cannot eat, whether it's in the road or in a river or outside in the backyard. We cannot eat an animal that we find dead and we don't even know how it's died or nothing. Okay, that's the second group. What's the third group? What?
Animals that were slaughtered in the name of things others besides Allah. I don't know if I word that.
No,
correctly.
not really. You reword it better. Reword it different. You said animals slaughtered. There's a different word. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Animal
We cannot eat animals that have been like sacrificed.
Exactly.
For other than Allah.
Sacrificed, not slaughtered. We cannot eat animals that were sacrificed to a deity other than Allah. Because there's people like the pagans, they sacrifice animals in the name of their gods. We can't eat any sacrificial animals. Any sacrificial animals that sacrifice to something other than Allah. Yeah, okay, good job. And what's the last group that we talked about? What's the last group of animals that Allah mentions in the Quran? Okay, these are animals that were strangled to death. Okay, that were gored to death or strangled to death. You know, we can't eat that type of meat either. And we're going to speak more in detail about these different groups today, and also another group. So we're going to speak about these groups today. So let me put the PowerPoint up on the screen for tonight's discussion. And by the way, it falls in the, for those of you who, where is it at? Is this it? Oh, okay. For those of you who watch the playlist on YouTube, you like to look at the playlist. This is number 6, session 6. Today would be session 6. I did put those playlists in order yet last night, inshallah. Okay, so today we're going to go into a little detail describing the 4 groups of forbidden meat. Okay, and let's look at the first PowerPoint here. When we speak about one of the 4 categories mentioned by Allah, Allah tells us it's forbidden to eat what is dead. We cannot eat roadkill or a lamb. You were walking down the street and you saw a dead goat in the street. You can't take that goat home and eat it. Okay, so we're going to speak about it and the wisdom behind it. Well, remember, Allah mentions in the Quran, when he speaks about the prohibition of foods, he said the flesh of dead animals. And that's not just a cow. It's not just a calf. It's also birds too. Any bird or beast that you find that dies of natural causes without being slaughtered or hunted, we cannot eat it. You have to hunt your birds, hunt your game. You can't just get roadkill off the street. And there's many different reasons why. For one thing, eating the flesh of a dead animal is repugnant, and it's considered to be contrary to our dignity. This is something that low-life people do. This is something that cannibalistic people do. Also, all people possessing any book have prohibited this. In other words, this was something that was not only forbidden for us Muslims, but for the Jews and the Christians too. Okay? Allah knows what's best for us. Allah knows. You don't know what type of diseases these animals could have picked up and died from or whatever. So we don't eat it. And also, guys, whatever we do as Muslims, we do because it sets a purpose. And whatever we do is based on intentions. And we don't go around reaping the benefit of something without directing our intention and effort towards it. So that's another reason why we don't go around eating dead meat. Okay? Allah commands us to slaughter, to take the life of the animal. And by doing this, you can use it as food. And also, this removes that animal from the category of being dead. I killed it. I didn't find it dead on the road. Okay? So, dead animals, roadkill, leave it alone. We go hunting there, and we're going to speak about hunting later, but we hunt for our animals. Okay? Or we slaughter them. We don't sit around just doing like you see on that show, Survival, eating the leftovers of another kill of someone else or something. And again, if the animal died of a natural death, It could have been through some disease, or you could be eating poison, no telling what. And you guys see that stuff on that Survivor show. These idiots eat dead animals that they find killed by a lion, and they always get sick. They end up having to be removed from the game because they get sick. So this is also a prohibition for us that's for the betterment of us. You know, Allah knows his creation better than we know ourselves, and he makes his rules for our betterment, even if we don't understand why. Okay? So that's the first group. And then the other group that you guys didn't mention is the group of flowing blood. Allah forbids us to eat flowing blood. There's no vampirism in Islam. Now, I'm going to tell you something. A lot of people are so uneducated that they take this verse of the Quran as dalil that they cannot eat a steak that is medium rare. This is not true. Flowing blood. Allah says we cannot eat any flowing blood. Flowing blood, as described by Ibn Abbas in an authentic hadith, is blood from a living animal whose heart is pumping it through its body. Okay, that's flowing blood. Flowing blood is not the leftover blood that's in a piece of meat when you cook it. Flowing blood is blood that is flowing through a live live animal's body, and it's being pumped by the heart. We have this hadith from Ibn Abbas. Ibn Abbas was asked about the spleen, if you could eat the spleen of an animal because it contains the blood. And he said yes. And the questioner said, but it has blood in it. And he said only flowing blood is forbidden for us. Blood that is flowing, he described, is blood that is pumped by your heart through your body from a live animal. Because back in the before Islam, the Bedouins, and some of them still do this, unfortunately, the Bedouins would drink the blood of their camels and goats. If they couldn't find no water, couldn't find no food, they would stick a hole inside the camel, drink its blood. And we still have some Bedouin tribes that do that today, not just the camel, but their goats, their sheep. They'll stick a hole in them and drink from them. This is flowing blood. This is haram in Islam. Islam did away with that. Okay? And then the third prohibition is the eating of swine. The eating of swine. This is pork, the flesh of swine. The pig is filthy. Its meat is repugnant. Okay? It carries all type of diseases, as scientists have already proven. Okay? There is a fatwa that was put out in the early 2000s. And I'll never forget that ridiculous fatwa. And I'll always speak about it, where they say that you can take pork, and if you boil it for a certain amount of time, it becomes pure and we can eat it. Understand, under no circumstances is the flesh of swine lawful to eat unless there's nothing else and it's going to save your life. And even then, you only eat what you need to survive. So it doesn't matter how long you cook it, fry it, or whatever, it's haram. As the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah speaks the truth when he says no one has the right to make lawful what he has made unlawful. Okay? So the flesh of swine is forbidden for us. And also this one here, the flesh of any animal that has been dedicated to someone or something other than Allah. You want to slaughter a sheep, slaughter a cow in the name of your son. This is something I had to correct a lot of people on over the years of teaching the dawah here. A lot of people didn't understand what the purpose of an akikah is. I had some people who thought that the purpose of an akikah is to sacrifice in the name of your child. So there were Muslims I know who were sacrificing in the name of their child that they had just given birth to. And I had to correct them and tell them, we don't sacrifice in the name of the child. Who taught you this? Sacrifice is an act of worship, and all acts of worship belong to Allah, not to no human. Okay? So when you sacrifice a lamb or a goat, you're sacrificing in the name of Allah to thank, as a means of thanking Allah for blessing you with this child. Okay? So anything that's been sacrificed in the name of something other than Allah, we are forbidden from eating it. Any type of idol or any human being. Okay, so this is just, like I said, a short class, because these are just more description of those four categories that Allah has mentioned. And by the way, these categories, they break off into other categories. And we're going to speak about that next week when we meet for this class. When we talk about these categories, they branch off into 8 other categories. And inshallah, when I finish speaking in detail about those other categories, you will know without any doubt what's lawful and what isn't lawful for you to eat in regards to the meat of this earth. Okay? All right, I'm going to stop right here. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta